Good evening, everybody. The Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and most importantly, music to the masses. And I am back with another Are You In? Tonight, we are taking a look at Two Door Cinema Club's newest album entitled False Alarm. Now, I've talked about this band in length before, but if you don't know them, they are an indie rock, indie pop, dance punk band from Bangor, Donaghadee, County Down, Northern Ireland. Members including Alex Trimble on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Sam Halliday on lead guitar and backing vocals, and Kevin Baird on bass guitar, synthesizers, keyboards, and backing vocals. Their previous albums include Taurus History in 2010, Beacon in 2012, and Game Show in 2016. If you've watched my Game Show album review, you'll know that I love this band. Even though still have yet to listen to Taurus History. I know I have to do that, but it just, slipped away. I'm definitely going to listen to it because I want to at least potentially include it in my top 100 list if it's good enough. Got into the band by listening to Beacon. I love Beacon as an album. I find so many of the songs interesting and just a lot of fun to listen to. Songs like Next Year, Sun, Someday, Sleeps Alone, Pyramid, so many great songs, and it's one of my favorite indie rock, indie pop albums. I love just the guitar work on there, I love the arrangements, I love Alex Trimble's vocals. It's so buttery and smooth. Beacon was easily in my top 25 albums of 2012. It still holds up to this day for me. Game Show came basically out of nowhere for me. I had no idea that it was dropping. I think it dropped right around my birthday. I was so happy to listen to it. It was a completely different change in sound for them, eschewing the more indie pop and indie rock for something a little bit more 70s disco dance hall. It's very funky, very much you would hear in a discotheque. Really enjoyed a lot of what that album brought to the table. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but the evolution sound from them works so well. And not only that, but Alex Trimble nailed it on a lot of the vocals, finally using his falsetto to a huge advantage of his. Particular songs like Invincible, Surgery, Bad Decisions, where he is using his falsetto in such a beautiful, in such a powerful way, brought a new sound for him and a new sound for this band. Plus that, I found a lot of those arrangements super interesting. Surgery having great harmonies. Good Morning being so intricate in its layering. Bad Decisions being so funky and so interesting. Ordinary having some great chord progressions. And still they had some songs that were similar to their previous album, like Game Show. I found it all really cool to listen to, and it ended up being just outside my top 10 of 2016. I think now I would still put it like in top 15. It was that solid. So, of course, when I found out that they were putting out a new album, not even from Metacritic, by the way, which is pretty good on knowing every single album, but literally just looking it up on Wikipedia and finding out, I was super stoked. Of course I was going to review this album. This continues the sound of the previous album, but kind of modernizes it, or at least brings it up another decade. So now we're away from the 70s discotheque, and now we're closer to an 80s vibe. What comes to mind for a lot of these songs to me is this more electronic idea, something that reminds me of Talking Heads, or Devo, or all these bands that were in the 80s electronica vibe. It feels a little bit over the top at times, especially with Alex Trimble's singing, but also just the layering of arrangements. What I find very interesting on a lot of songs are the percussion of it. Songs like Talking Satisfaction Guarantee have some great layering when it comes to the parts and the percussion. And a lot of those songs do fit that mold. Talking Satisfaction Guaranteed, Nice to See You, and Satellites all have this more upbeat 80s vibe that's a lot of fun to play around with. I will say some of them don't hit the high marks of the previous album, but they're still very interesting to listen to. The highlight of them being Nice to See You. It is so much fun to listen to. It's just really interesting the way that this particular song just builds. It's a 6 minute song, it's the longest on the album. It doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. I love the very sparse melody on here. The chorus is one of the best ones on the album. What is also on this song is Open Mike Eagle. Basically, one of those indie rappers. I don't know how much notoriety he's got, but it was kind of weird to me to find them working together. I found that really interesting, and his verse halfway through, really solid. All in all, making for a really fun song to listen to. Talk and Satisfaction Guarantee also follow these more upbeat songs, and both having some really fun parts as well. Talk having another really fun melody and a chorus that works between major and minor in a really fun way. The bridge part isn't hugely interesting and kind of takes away from that song, but overall, it's just a blast to listen to. Satisfaction Guaranteed doesn't have the most interesting melody, but I love the call and response nature of the chorus between Alex and the rest of the band. It works phenomenally and makes for a lot of really great energy. From there, we also do get a couple more sedated songs, kind of like on the lines of Lavender on Invincible. Again, doesn't necessarily hit the highs of those songs, but still are serviceable. The beginning song once has a little bit more laid back nature, though it does have some good energy. It doesn't have the same energy or the same oomph as either Next Year or Are We Ready, but it's still a nice way of opening the album. However, Already Gone is honestly a much better closer than the previous two albums. This is one where Alex gets to use his falsetto, and it's beautiful. I find the arrangement very atmospheric and really interesting to listen to. However, be careful for the ending of the song. It ends abruptly, and I honestly thought for the first time that it was my phone, but as I listened to it again, I realized that it ends very abruptly. And I'll get to my theory on that in just a minute. There are also a couple other slower songs. So Many People is a little bit slower than some of the other songs, but it does still have a funky nature to it, kind of more of the 70s dance hall feel than the 80s. A great bass line, a lot of great harmonies on the chorus, as well as this very staccato verse melody that I find very interesting. Think kind of feels to me like a Electric Guest song, more on the lines of their previous album, Plural. It has this feel of something that would fit very nicely onto there. It feels a little bit more modern than all the other songs on there, though I'm not a huge fan of the electronic vocals, and I find it somewhat poppy and not interesting. Other detriments on this album to me, Dirty Air is the only song on here that feels very reminiscent to songs on Beacon. Not a bad song, but this one and Satellites are a little bit weird. So like with Alex experimenting with his falsetto on the previous album, Alex, if it is him, I believe he is also experimenting on his low end, which feels a little bit cheesy, but also kind of fits that 80s vibe, 80s cheesiness in a nice way. Dirty Air, I think that the low melody works better on this one than Satellites, but it is a little bit weird comparatively to the rest of the album because it does feel more like something on Beacon rather than something that would fit on this album. A lot of fun, a lot of good energy, just cheesy all around, and there is like a middle part that kind of reminds me of an Interpol song. Satellites feels a little bit more on that faster vibe that Talk, Satisfaction Guarantee, and Nice to See You work with. However, I find the melody not super interesting only until you get to the chorus. The chorus has another call and response section that is interesting to listen to. However, it doesn't necessarily save the rest of the song. And then the last song, Break, kind of an interlude-ish song to me. It is simplistic and it's not there long enough to make an impression. Lyrically, I kind of found that this album was a little bit all over the place until the last song. And I have a theory about this kind of in general theme of the album. Now, I'm not saying that every one of these songs fits that mold, but hear me out. Already Gone, it seems to be about a relationship between two people. But once I heard the abrupt ending, my thought is the way that the lyrics are being portrayed, it kind of feels like a relationship between a person and technology. And the abruptness of it is kind of just like showing that the lyrics are from the side of technology. Just how quickly you can pull the plug on it, that's kind of what the ending of it is. Where this AI, this technology, whatever the personification is trying to kind of butter you up and be like, it's such a shame that we have to let it go because I'm always here for you, you know? And I feel like a lot of this album kind of pulls on the idea of technology and how it's affecting the rest of the world. So at first, I thought Nice to See You was just like a song about just meeting someone and wanting to say more to this person, being more than an acquaintance, someone that you see all the time but just don't really have a relationship with. But I think it's actually might have to do with just like the awkwardness of actually having a conversation with somebody and not going to your phone all the time. Satisfaction Guaranteed is talking about the ideas of how marketing affects us, making us want to have certain things that will make us happy because it, of course, is what everybody wants. And especially with technology where it can listen to what you're saying or watch what you're doing and can recommend certain things that are going to enforce this idea of you need to have this. That definitely continues that idea. And I also think that there are certain songs that kind of touch upon the idea of whether or not art matters as much or music matters as much, because with the ability to listen to anything, to read anything, to have all these thoughts at once and just have the full spectrum of ideas, it kind of feels sometimes like it's hard to reinvent the wheel. And songs like Once and songs like Break kind of have that same vibe. Once is like you could have had your golden opportunity, but you let it pass by because why not? Like, what does it matter? Or Break, to me, is about wanting to make music, wanting to make art, but kind of realizing that everything has been said, so what's the point? So instead of making art, you decide not to because how are you supposed to reinvent something that's already been made? There's a line in there that's basically talking about I could master rock and roll, and it's like, what's the point though? Because cool, you're mastering something that has been done over and over and over. Also, like so many people, which is kind of, I believe, talking about the idea of individuality and not being trapped in this idea or this cycle of trying to want to be better than others or looking at people and being like, why can't it be me? Just finding solace in yourself. Same thing with Think, which is talking about the idea of how people interact on the internet and in general, not knowing when to say the truth and when to hold it back. Yeah, there are some other stuff that is a little bit more cliche. Dirty Air is talking about going out and finding a romantic partner for the evening. Sandalite is just talking about doing what it takes to stand out from the crowd, which could also tie into just everyone being the same because of social media. But all in all, I think that particular theme works really well with this 80s electronic idea, where in the 80s, the idea of more futuristic sound, what electronic ideas, computer ideas, made for this idea of the future being what it is. And now that the future is here, we can take that 80s idea and bring it back with those futuristic ideas. Does it rewrite the book on 80s pop? No, especially in a indie and more mainstream idea where the 80s sound is coming back with full force. But it's still a lot of fun. It doesn't hit the highs of Game Show to me, but there are some really solid songs. Love Nice to See You, Love Talk, Love Satisfaction Guaranteed. Already Gone is solid. So Many People is also very solid. Dirty Air is solid as well. I think once you get to Think, Satellites, Once, and Break, those aren't as interesting to me, but overall, I think there's enough there for me to give it a rating of listen to it once. I love Two Door Cinema Club, and yes, it didn't hit my expectations fully, but it scratched that itch that I needed, and I hope it does for you as well. So, thank you so much for watching. If you love or hate this album, tell me your reasons why. Share this with your friends. Let me know about other albums from 2019 that you would like me to review, and finally, subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy what I'm doing and want to see more, the best way to help out is by subscribing. So I will be back with a couple more arguments and a 5-minute theory, and then I have a special video I'm going to put at the beginning of the following week. So look forward to it. I got a lot of good stuff coming out. Until then, this is Music Fan, and I'm signing off.